Good evening, everybody. It's February 23rd, 6 p.m., so we'll get started with the PD&Z meeting for this evening, and we'll start with attendance. It looks like everybody is here with the exception of Kenneth Hayes. He is not available this evening. So we will move on to the pledge. If I can everybody stand for the pledge, please.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay. I have a couple of public comment cards here, all for public hearings, though. So, any other public comment cards? No? Okay, then we'll move right into public hearing section. It looks like we'll start with a staff presentation on the public hearing items, and so they can give us a little overview of what it is, and then we'll move into the public comment section.
Good evening, Commission members. Tonight I'll be presenting a request to amend the Valencia Planned Unit Development, or PUD. First, I would like to clarify that this amendment does not add any residential lots or additional tracts to the previously approved PUD. The southeastern portion of the Valencia Master Plan was added to the PUD in the 2024 through a prior amendment. So this proposed amendment is limited to minor modifications, specifically regarding rear yard setback, temporary community signs, and fence requirements. Regarding rear yard setbacks, the applicant requests reducing the minimum rear yard setback for residential lots from 15 feet to 10 feet. Valencia lots are typically 120 feet deep, much deeper than standard single-family residential lots, so staff finds this reduction won't negatively impact development. The change allows more flexibility for one-story homes, which aligns with the comprehensive plan goal of offering a variety of housing options. Regarding temporary community signs, the original PUD allowed 10 temporary community signs along Pollard Boulevard, Del Valle Boulevard, and Highway 6. The applicant proposes 6 additional signs at new locations along Highway 6 and Highway 288 intersections. All signs remain consistent in size and require applicable state and county approvals. Regarding fence requirements, the amendment clarifies and expands fence standards for residential and commercial lots, which include type, materials, placement, and design. Residential fence types include wood public right-of-way fence, wood good neighbor fence, wrought iron fence for lots adjacent to lakes, and concrete fence for lots on Pollard Boulevard. Commercial fences include wood right-of-way and wrought iron fence. In comparison with city ordinance, overall the PUD generally aligns with city fence regulations. However, one notable difference related to wrought boards. The city updated its fence regulation in 2023 to require wrought boards for good neighbor fences. Under the proposed PUD amendment, wrought boards would only be required for wood fences visible from the public right-of-ways, not for good neighbor fences between residential lots. If the applicant provides sufficient justification and the Commission supports this deviation, staff will consider updating the city ordinance accordingly. Regarding public comments, staff has received oppositions from residents on Water Glen Lane in Blue Water Lakes development regarding the rear yard setback and drainage, rear yard setback reduction and drainage. Overall, staff finds that the proposed amendments support efficient development and align with the Valencia PUD's character. Staff recommends approval with the condition that wood good neighbor fences include rot boards. This concludes the staff presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the regular item discussion section.
Thank you very much. Okay. So next we'll move on to the public hearing portion then. This will be anybody here's opportunity to give input to the board. At this time, we won't discuss the item. This will just be your opportunity to give us your thoughts. If you do, please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and then please keep your comments to 3 minutes. I'm going to go back real quick, though, and do one thing I forgot to do is if there's anybody here to meet the meeting requirements for a board position, if you can just come up to the podium real quick and give us your name so we can mark you down as present.
Greetings, Bentara Morton.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay, now we'll do everything else I just said. So first I'll read this for you. So our public hearing A is to hear input from the public regarding a proposed ordinance to the City of Manvel, Texas, amending ordinance 2024-0-12 pertaining to zoning and development-related provisions and requirements for the Valencia Planned Unit Development, an approximate 457 acres of land located immediately east of the State Highway 288, north of Highway 6, generally south of Debella Boulevard, and generally west of Farm to Market Road 1128, by amending certain provisions related to fencing requirements, sign requirements, and minimum rear yard setbacks, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, providing for a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violating any provision hereof. As Elliot alluded to earlier, we have received a negative recommendation from Deborah Hargrove at 7602 Water Glen, from John, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, John Dios at also on Water Glen, no specific address. Elia Rubik Shaw. Also, let's see, is 7626 Water Glen. And then finally 7518 Water Glen. This is also Elijah. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong line there. Brittany Salazar. And the previous one was from Rachel Manrush. So those were emailed comments. So now we'll open up the floor to any public comments from anybody who's here. Yes, sir. If you'll just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Justin Faith. I live at 7626 Water Glen Lane. I'm opposed to this for a lot of reasons. When I first moved to Manvel, I moved here with my wife and her parents, and we found the perfect home. When we looked out of our backyard, we saw trees. You could hear birds singing every morning. There was an owl that was sometimes annoying, but seeing it and hearing it hoot was part of the charm of where we lived. When Valencia came, we weren't upset about that. We were originally told that the space directly behind our house would stay a natural area to preserve drainage and other some of the beauty that was back there. That changed. We didn't come to the last meeting to voice our concern about that. But now the rules are trying to be changed again for a builder who knew what they were getting into when they bought the space behind our property. I don't think that's right. I think they knew what they were getting into when they did it, when they designed it. If they have to go back to the drawing board to fix it, I think that's their problem, not mine. And the idea that they can set their homes back closer to the back fence to be closer to mine further erodes the charm of the home that we bought and why we love Manvel since we've been here. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I also got a comment card here from Russell Byram. Yes, sir.
Good
Good evening. My name is Russell Bynum, and I work for Hillwood Communities, and I'm the developer of Valencia. I'm here with Bailey Quadra tonight, and you guys hopefully know him. He's also with Hillwood, and then we've also got LJA here who represents us on the planning side. So I did want to point out a few things for certainly folks that in the audience that might want to hear what we are trying to achieve with this PUD amendment. This PUD amendment specifically addresses about 3 specific items. One, and Ellie did a really good job of pointing those out, but I just want to reiterate what they'll do for us and hopefully for the city of Manvel as well. It addresses signage, and one of the things that has challenged us since we started, and of course we knew about it when we developed the property, was the location of the property being directly behind Blue Water Lakes and Del Bello Lakes. We had a wonderful opportunity to continue developing in Manvel, but that came with challenges of visibility, and with the opening of Del Bello underpass under 288, that gives us another marketing opportunity that we originally did not have. So that's one of the reasons we are requesting some additional temporary signage. Obviously, that will be removed upon the completion of the sale of all of the homes in Valencia. But that, because it wasn't opened at the time that we had our PUD before council and before planning and zoning, we didn't need that signage placement. And so now since that opened up, we're now wanting and requesting that to be a part of this. The other opportunity that we're here before you tonight is to address fencing. I think we've done a really good job of upgrading and enhancing the fencing elements within Valencia. We've gone above and beyond what a lot of developers do by providing upgraded wood fence with a cap and rot board to all visible roadway and public right-of-ways. We've also done a concrete stamped fence and painted it along Pollard Boulevard, which is upgraded from the fence ordinance. And what we are requesting is that the rot board on the interior fences that is not visible from the public right-of-way is, I'll say, removed or just not a part of the requirement to build those fences. And in large part due to cost. It costs our builders $1,600 more to build that interior good neighbor fence with a rot board than without a rot board. So it's a cost both today for the buyers that come in, and we all know that affordability is an issue, but it also will prevent future homeowners the opportunity from perhaps repairing and replacing their fence in the future. And when you have a good neighbor fence, an interior fence, it can also be confusing and a bit of an awkward conversation to have with your neighbor when it is time to replace the fence, if that fence is going to cost, in essence, $1,600 or more at that time to replace that fence. And because it's not visible from the right-of-way, we think this is something that would be appropriate to be put in place in this PUD. The other that we'd like to address tonight is the rear setbacks on the individual single-family homes. Again, in most cases, the utility easement is in the rear of the lot, and that will largely dictate that rear setback. Oftentimes, they're 14 feet in the rear. The current standard is 15 feet, and so that's really just 1 foot less. And then in the case of an interior lot, that 14 feet is shared, and you're already backing to a neighbor anyway. This will offer residents an option to expand their patio and build those kinds of structures, but it'll also allow for some flexibility in offering some larger one-story homes. We've found, developing Pomona and Valencia thus far, that about 65% of the homes are one-story. For a variety of reasons, that's the homes that are selling and that are most sought after. So it would benefit, obviously, the people that are buying the homes and those that are renovating and remodeling their back patios, but it would also increase the overall value of those homes, which would enhance the tax base. And so those are what we're here to discuss tonight. I do also want to point out that specifically for those homes that back to Blue Water Lakes, there already exists today a 20-foot force main easement. And so our homes that we would build would not back directly onto those homes on Water Glen Lane. There would be 20 feet. And then because an overhead utility easement would be placed on those lots as well, there's already a 14-foot utility easement. So we would really only be about 34 feet from the edge of your current fence. We would not be right up on your fence. So I hope that, at least explains a few things that we are proposing this evening. And I'm obviously here at the appropriate time to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Second call for public comments. And final call for public comments. Okay, we'll close that public hearing at 6:19. Okay. So you tell us about our second public hearing?
So this one is a request for a right-of-way abandonment, and this request is associated with, I'm sure you all remember the recently approved PUD for Manvel Crossing development. Even during those meetings, you may remember there's an existing 40-foot wide right-of-way that divides the property into two. Once the property was annexed into the city, now it's the city's jurisdiction in terms of abandoning the right-of-way. So the applicant has provided that application. This is the first public hearing regarding this item. We've included a data sheet providing you with what we usually look into in these situations. Our city secretary's office reaches out to some utility companies, and there are some documents that we need from them. In terms of our general review, we look to make sure that the abandonment of this easement doesn't result in any landlocked properties. And we see that that's not the case because there is another segment which goes, and it's in the county's jurisdiction, and all properties have access along that right-of-way. And this would be the full extent of the right-of-way within city's jurisdiction. So staff is recommending approval so that we all can forward a recommendation of approval to the city council.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so public hearing B is going to be to hear input from the public regarding a proposed ordinance to the city of Manvel, Texas, finding and determining that public convenience and necessity no longer require the continued existence of the right-of-way consisting of a tractor parcel containing .844 acres or 36,765 square feet of land, being a portion of a called 40-foot wide unnamed road as shown on Immigration Land Company subdivision section 71 according to the map or plat there recorded under volume 2 page 81 to 82 of Brazoria County plat records, situated in HT and BRR County Survey section 71 abstract 291, Brazoria County, Texas, vacating, abandoning, and closing said public right-of-way, authorizing the mayor to execute and the city secretary to attest respectively quitclaim deeds conveying respective interest in said abandoned right-of-way to the abutting property owners, providing for severability and containing other provisions relating to the subject. Okay, we'll open that public hearing at 6:22. Second call for public comments. And final call for public comments. Okay, we will close that public hearing at 6:22. Okay. Up first on the agenda is going to be our consent agenda, which consists of just approving the meeting minutes and dates.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Okay. Agenda item A. Consideration and possible action to forward recommendation of approval to City Council for the PUD amendment for Valencia. Okay, so this is the part where we get to actually talk about it.
I have a question.
Please.
So I know that we had some public comments that came in by email. I know we heard the one resident, their concern was that they feel like the the new properties were going to be too close to theirs, but I'd like to know what the other concerns were from the comments.
They all share the same message, mostly about the rear yard setback. Yeah. And I can pass these down to you too, so if you'd like to take a look through them. But they're all pretty much pertaining to that rear
That same
setback.
thing.
And Commissioners, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to give you a little blurb on a lot of residents from both Blue Water Lakes as well as Valencia reached out. We had phone conversations with several individuals explaining what exactly the change is. So one of the common themes that we saw was a misunderstanding that somehow this amendment is to add more acreage to Valencia or make changes to existing lots or fences, and so there was some misunderstanding that was out there, which once we discussed and explained, most of them were clear.
And just for my clarity, just the way this is written, it's not perfectly clear. The rear yard setback that we're talking about here is for primary structures, not for secondary structures.
Correct. I mean, it's for the homes.
The house
Yeah.
part, not accessory dwelling.
And mostly these setbacks apply to any secondary structure, with some exceptions, I guess, depending on the size and all of that. But anything that'll be close to like your primary home and a structurally built, a built-up structure, I guess, the setback would apply to those.
Okay.
It seems like a lot of the frustrations from the homeowners is that they were assured by the builder when they bought their home that there would never be anything developed behind them. And I can tell you that we have had the same problem with Pomona, where, you know,
Lakeland.
these unfortunately, the people who sold you their home, they don't own the land behind you. They can't promise you that.
And they should.
Right? And they shouldn't, and they do. And so it is very frustrating as a homeowner myself, right? And as a realtor, no less, right? Who these builders, these people that sell you their home, they're trying to sell you a home, and they're not. They have no right to tell you that there's never going to be anything built behind you because they don't own the land. And so I sympathize with you as homeowners that that's very frustrating, but just understand that. You know, there's really no place for them to make those promises. So we understand your frustration and we understand that, but sometimes there's not a lot that we can do. And this whole neighborhood's, I mean, this isn't going to, I mean, everything with this PUD, they're not changing how much land they have. They're not changing, you know, and it looks like if you look at the plan, the vast majority of the homes, there's a retention pond between Blue Water and Valencia. There's one little section where that's not the case, and I don't know if that's where Water Glen is. Is that where Water Glen is right there, that street?
Yeah.
On this one map, it just
Yeah.
shows Valencia. It doesn't
Closest to Cervelle.
Me though,
Yeah.
on this, the way you're talking, I agree with that. But that I have a problem with. This is a complete ordinance change, not a variance.
Yeah.
So my thing is, what does this do to future developments that come in? Do we go back to this? Are we stuck with this?
The ordinance
With
is-
the
is
setbacks
PUD,
and-
though.
So the ordinance established the PUD. The PUD document provides us the development standards for Valencia. So what you're amending is new standards moving forward for Valencia.
Valencia only.
Only. It
That's-
doesn't-
But their lots are
Clear.
significantly larger, right? Or they're deeper than most of the. They've exceeded the lot size of what Manvel allows in general. They're much bigger lots in Valencia.
For the regular lots, like our single-family residential zoning, based on the lot area and the lot width requirements, what Valencia is proposing, the depth would be
Right.
bigger than what we would have based on our zoning ordinance.
Right.
Now, Valencia also has allowances for some specialty products, and those specialty products are different from or smaller compared to cities' single-family residential. But there are several products which allows for the 10-foot setback, and this change would make it uniform across for those specialty products. And now the specialty products also have your alley in the back option. So when we did the review on each type of product, based on the information that the applicant has provided, we do not see any significant impact in terms of reduction of what could otherwise be achieved in terms of a backyard.
Any other question on the lot setback part of it? Yes.
Well, it's kind of on the setbacks, and I want to make sure I understood this. You said between the Blue Water neighborhood and where you're going to put part of Valencia, you said there's a 35-foot forest? Or the trees? I mean, can you kind of clarify that?
Let me explain that,
for me?
especially to the people who live on that street. They probably want to know.
Because that's a lot of trees
Yes.
back there.
Yeah, I will say it is not forested, and we had to clear that area. We had to install a force main, and that force main is going from the lift station that is located in Blue Water Lakes, and then it goes onto the wastewater treatment plant for the city of Manvel. And so there will be a 20-foot buffer between the back fence of Water Glen and the fences in Valencia. There'll be a 20-foot buffer, and Valencia will maintain that buffer. We'll go and mow it and all that.
And are you planting trees in between there?
Well, no, and the city would not allow us or want us to go plant trees in there, because otherwise you're going to have roots that grow into the sewer system, and that is not a good thing.
Nobody
So
wants that Blue Water
Yeah.
or.
that's right. Yeah, nobody needs
the
that.
trees want
That'll be bad. And so we do require a tree in every Valencia backyard. So that is something that we've imposed that from day one. So this not because of this. But there is a 20-foot gap, I'll say a gap. And so the fences won't be touching. And then additionally, there's an overhead utility easement along the back of those lots, further separating the edge of the home to 14 feet, right? So on the back of those lots, in effect, we're only asking for a 1-foot rear setback, sort of encroachment change, if you will. Now, on the other homes that don't currently back up really to any existing residential homes, some of those, if they don't have a 14-foot utility easement in the back, would see a benefit. But largely on the perimeter, they're all going to have a 14-foot utility in the rear yard. Most of this is for interior lots that have that 7-foot on this side, 7-foot on that side, that 14-foot shared UE. Those are the homes that are largely going to benefit the most from this rear setback. And again, it's both for primary structure, it allows for a little bit more of that 1-story home, and then for secondary structures like a patio extension that might be built into the home and they want to extend it because they need additional shade, or they're building a pool and want to extend it out, and those kinds of things. So
But for
I hope that
homes are-
explains.
Yeah.
That's.
So no kidding, we're not going to be right on the back fence.
Hold one moment, please. Let's finish here, and then we'll ask you, get your questions.
Yeah. So just a point of clarification, I hope that helps explain it, and I'm sure we'll get more questions.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly
I mean,
fine.
14 foot is not a lot, but 14 foot is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only
You're-
a foot difference from what is
Yeah,
there now.
So, I mean,
But they have that 20 extra feet that
And
nobody
then-
else has. So I mean,
right,
your 34 feet is significantly better
Correct.
than,
because I mean, visual, 14 feet's basically from me to the wall.
But can we
So-
also limit it to interior lots?
Yeah.
Instead of just making it a blank, saying, hey, let's just do, we'll pass it, but it's for interior only, and then that way, rural and different subdivisions won't be having things right up next to their fence line.
well,
I mean,
there's
does it-
really not
does it
any other. If
affect
you look at
anybody?
this, are there any other?
Yeah,
There's no other existing, I guess over there in Lakeland, but there's a pretty big gap between there.
there's the sea ditch, I think it is there.
Yeah. it's really just that one section on Water Glen Way that's abutting
That's the closest.
because other than that, over there where Lake A is, it's all water retention. So there's a pretty large gap there.
Yeah, I live on the
That
street.
too?
Well,
It's all
yeah,
part
I
of
mean,
Valencia, so wouldn't- yeah, so
So-
if the northeastern part of it, well, yeah, the northern part of it, that would affect that also. I mean, the people that live out there rurally,
And that was going to be my question. Are there any other abutting, residential properties to this? So I was just looking here. It looks like it's all
Yeah, there's not really any.
open space for the most part on the perimeter
currently.
currently.
but if we want to keep Manvel as a rural community, if we have houses right up to the lot line, that kind of alleviates that.
I mean, if it's not there now, they'll know when they get there.
I think that's the thing, is what's frustrating to the residents is that they bought something thinking that this is what it was going to be, and then, it's not, because that land was not owned by the developer, and so they feel frustration, right? And I would feel the same thing. And so you want to do the best that we can by them, but then when you're thinking about, like you said, if somebody wants to go over there by near Section 10, right, where there is some rural and it's going to go in there's no homes yet, but if somebody was to buy land on either side of it, they know what they're getting into.
Right.
And so I'm a lot more sympathetic to the people that live here now that feel like they're not getting what they bought versus somebody that knows what they're getting.
We had two more questions, so let's
Yeah.
see what they have to ask you. Maybe it'll give us another direction as well. Yes, ma'am. Can get your question first?
Yeah, Rachel Faith, 7626 Water Glen Lane. I guess my question's to the builder, the developer. Like, why now? Why didn't y'all think about this whenever you first developed it in 2021? Like, it's our home. Yeah, we're not realtors, we're not developers. I understand we get lied to, we're buying things, but like, that's our home, and I want to stay here and not have to leave Manvel, because I will. And so a lot of the neighbors would, and I'm about to cry because it makes me sad. But like, why didn't y'all, if y'all are so smart and you have it all together, why didn't you guys do this in the first place?
I mean, this was a different developer than the ones that developed the Blue Water. So just to throw that out there too. This was originally put together when? 23? 22?
Yeah, 21.
21?
It was definitely not 2023.
So 21. So the change now is 5 years later? And I mean, I'm going to tell you what the most common answer I hear is just change in market, what people want. So, and I don't know if you can tell me, that's usually what we see up here when they say, oh, we want to change what kind of products we have in there, is people want to buy something different. So does that fit with what you're saying? Yeah. So that's the most common reason for these amendments is, what they originally planned didn't change. Or, I'm sorry, what they originally planned is not sell as well now, and what people want has changed, especially in some of these developments. Rodeo Palms PUD has been around for how long? 20 years?
20 plus, yeah.
20 plus, yeah. So the longer they hang out, the more they change. So this one's moved pretty quickly. We had one question here, yes, sir?
Yes.
If I can just get you to step up to the podium, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Dave Salazar. I first came to this town in 1981 and was basically just a mud hole. And I've seen a lot of things happen, a lot of good things happen, a lot of bad things happen. But my daughter, Brittany Salazar, owns a home right in Water Glen. And she bought the house because they told her nobody would be coming in the back. And I see this, it's well and good what this man said for him. What about the people that live there? Your word should be integrity involved in it. And I see this as a betrayal to all the people that live there. I would ask you deeply to consider not doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think some of the misunderstanding is that this isn't going to stop the neighborhood's already been approved.
Yeah.
The neighborhood's going to be built. All of it's happening. Really, the difference is a foot, 1 foot
A 1 foot easement line.
Fence
easement.
board.
That's it. It's not going to, and then the rock
And the
board, we can
fence
talk
board,
about,
yeah.
we'll talk about that. But and the neighborhood's already been, it was approved
It's-
4 years
Long time
ago.
ago, yeah.
So the neighborhood is here as of, 4 years ago it was approved, so
And-
it's not,
And as she pointed out
that's not on the
earlier,
docket here.
whoever promised that, they never had the right, or, they should never have promised that because they didn't have the ability to promise it.
Well, can I propose that we vote on all three of them, but just the rear yard setbacks be limited to interior lots only? And then that way, future things, as well as the people that are abutted to that, would not be involved. It would still be the original, what was agreed to, but allow that inside Valencia to occur.
We can certainly make that recommendation. Do we have any other
What about the rock
questions
boards?
or anything on just on the setback part so far? I think we can phrase our motion here in a second. If we want to include those, we can certainly do it. I just want to make sure everybody's had the ability to ask questions about the setback part.
Okay, we have a person back there?
Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My name is Josh Armstrong. I live at 19143 Satsuma Ridge Drive in Valencia. I'm on the opposite end. I'm on the north side. Currently, I'm the furthest northwest house in the Valencia subdivision, changing fastly though, as they're coming along. What does this mean for what could come behind me? I understand you don't own the land, but does this affect future development? Because if you look at this map, where that red line is right there in the north, that's my back fence. So if a future development comes in, how does that affect how they can build close to my house? Or
Do we have the master plan map for Valencia in here? In our
This
packet?
this doesn't have anything to do with what could be developed behind you.
this wouldn't affect, like if a builder came in, they would,
If a builder came back behind you and wanted to do a PUD, they'd have to come through the whole process, and it would all have
Okay.
to be approved. But just know, somebody can buy it and build a house there.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I love it right now. I know it.
You're on the-
I was born in Manvel in 1982.
Yeah.
So I remember
You said
those
you're
days.
on the western.
I just wanted to know,
Yes.
so if they come in, I'd have to come to another meeting?
Yes,
All right.
it would be a totally different PUD. Yep,
And
great
that,
question.
Unless it's Valencia.
Well, even if Valencia did, they'd have to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Add
if
to
they
it.
have to add an acreage, they'll have to come before the board.
Right.
Yeah, but everything, that northwest corner up there, that abuts this city property, actually.
Oh, yeah,
I'm northeast.
Northeast, okay.
yeah. Have any questions about
Any more questions about setbacks right
the
this
signage
second?
and the rock board? We need to talk about those.
Yeah, Rockport, so well, let's do the easy one now. Let's do the temporary signage. Does anybody have any questions about the temporary signage?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and the sooner they get it built
As long
out.
as it's listed as temporary and removed once,
Yeah.
And they pay for the permit to have a sign there anyway, right?
because we've had that before,
Yeah.
that they listed as temporary and it stayed forever.
Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so temporary signage, it sounds like no real questions there. So what about discussion on the fencing?
Regarding to these signs, and you say temporary, how long is temporary?
So in this case, it would be until the sale of homes is completed, the development is completely built out. That's how it is. It would be considered. Because once it's built out, they don't have a need for the sign, so it'll go out.
So they will take it down.
We'll remove them.
And then a rough estimate, build out, 10?
We sold, I hope not, we sold 175 last year. That was on the heels of selling about 65 the year before. We're at 250-ish sales right now. We have another 730 to go.
So I would say that's about
5.
3,
5,
4
6.
years from now.
5, 6 years?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so,
One more.
yes, ma'am.
If the sign starts looking raggedy or falling apart, they do have to fix it, right? Or repaint it if it peels, making it look nice, basically.
So from city's enforcement standpoint, there are certain standards they have to maintain, but also keep in mind that some of these signs are on TxDOT's right of way, the locations that's been requested. And from generally what we see is the whole point of the sign is to look good and the information
Not good
be
marketing if
available.
your sign's red.
So usually we don't run into that.
Because, for a while there, the Rodeo Palm sign was
Yeah.
halfway
I
up
think,
and down.
I think
and it
they're
was
the
like that for
exception
a
to the
while.
rules.
So I just don't want it to become that.
Absolutely. So.
And with the signs too, if they did buy the land to the north, we'd still have to vote on the signage again.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Developer that, has been in this city for over a decade, will be here certainly probably for another 5 years. We've made hopefully a good name for ourselves, and we like to keep our things nice, and we will reface, certainly as needed, and probably more often than that.
Thank you.
Okay, so fencing, so I think my only question on the fencing is, didn't we have a requirement in there for the amount of posts essentially that need to be supported just for, because I know, coming from Lakeland, all of our fencing, we had 6-foot fences and they all had 18 inches of posts in the ground, which is, barely holds itself up in a stiff wind, let alone anything more than that. If it was I think we've gone to a 10-foot post for a 6-foot fence. Is that right now?
So we do have our
3 feet, I think.
we do have our structural standards that would apply from the design criteria manual. Now, what the PUD is requesting is some of the other design standards to be included in there. And generally, it looks like it aligns with the intent of our fence ordinance as well as the details that we have in the design criteria manual, with the exception of the rot board, which was one of the primary drivers behind our recently changed fence ordinance. So the applicant has provided their reasoning as part of the application, and also was mentioned here that with good neighbor fences, it's generally private, there's no visibility, so enforcement becomes difficult. And in their situation, like they said, it's costly for them to build, it's costly for the homeowners to maintain. So they provided those reasonings, but when we adopted the fence standards, the rot board was one of the requirements, and we included it interior, exterior, everywhere. And if y'all agree with the argument or the information provided by the applicant, the reasoning provided by the applicant, and you're making a recommendation to council and the council approves it, at that point we'll bring back our friends' ordinances to remove that requirement for interior good neighbor fences and keep the rod board requirement limited to exterior.
So when did y'all add the rot board to the interior? When was that added? I've been around a while. I just don't remember that.
I remember the discussion.
23, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 2023 when we had some changes to the fence ordinance, and that was the primary factor was like we had several development where the fence was not put together. It wasn't a good quality fence, both structurally as well as visually. So those requirements are included, and just following best practices, requirement for, say, top cap or height requirements, and some of those things were adjusted. And one of the big item was the the post and the requirement for how deep it has to go, and then the rot board to minimize the chances of it rotting before its due lifetime.
I mean, that's supposed to be a sacrificial piece that makes it easier to maintain, but I know in Lakeland where rot boards and all the public-facing fences and interior fences are, it's optional. So, I mean, I don't see, I see what they propose lines up fairly well with most of what I see in the wild anyway, so, you know, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are.
My only thought, other than the rock board, they have to follow all the other, like with the concrete fence, it has, if it's, or even the masonry, it has to have a structural engineer and everything, right? So they do have to follow those rules, except we're gonna go ahead and pull, they're wanting us to pull out that rock board. That's all they're
Just the
really.
interior.
The one on the inside.
On the
For the interior,
inside,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got concrete fences, they don't have necessarily masonry in here.
I
I
think
mean, if you,
Okay.
if you may, you can add that, like, the structural requirement for the post, for wooden fences be included in the PUD for.
just for good measure. I mean, I would like to see that, just to,
The 10
just to
foot.
reinforce it, you know, to match up with exactly what's, you know, we had before.
So do we want to vote on each one of these independently then, correct?
I'm okay with making it one motion, I just want to make sure we discuss
Get a
each
word.
section, yeah.
Okay.
It should be, since it's the way it's written.
So we're good with temporary signage, no changes, suggestions there we want to make. Again.
You want to, I mean, what are we feeling about? I mean, my struggle sometimes is every time we change an ordinance, there's a growing pain, right? We went in this last week with the sidewalk, right? This doesn't have a sidewalk and this does, but we have the ordinance and at some point you have to enforce it. And so it's problematic whenever we're looking at, we have this new ordinance, we all came in here and did these new ordinances for fences, and then, well, we don't like that, right? So I think we just have to really think through that lens of, if we have this ordinance and this is the standard for it.
I think, at least my
Either follow it or we
the
don't.
way I remember the discussion, we talked a lot about basically the public facing of it, and I think.
Right, the public makes sense. The
Yeah.
interior,
I think that just kind of got lumped in with
Right.
it, like we didn't really,
because whenever I rebuild my fence, if you give me a quote for the fence and you tell me it's going to be this amount, and then it's going to be $1,600 less without it, if that's really what it cost, and nobody can see it and it doesn't really matter, then I'm probably going to go with the quote without it. You know, it's not enforceable after you build. After construction ends, it's, I mean, I don't know,
Like you said-
y'all go and look at the interior fences to see, I mean,
and I think that was one of his things he said is, you know,
but on the
enforcement is difficult.
exterior, you know,
No, I think we're all in agreement on that the interior ones, the rock board, you know, if you want it, if you don't want it,
yeah.
it's fine, but the exterior stuff is
Yeah.
really where we want to see it, all the public facing stuff.
Right, because you want it to look nice from the, I mean,
And consistent.
we're not looking in anybody's backyard to see if it
Yeah.
looks good.
And
you know,
consistent, too.
But we want it to look good from the outside.
Yes.
I guess my question is, like, is this something that we need to consider across the board going forward?
That's
Or is
what he
this
said that
something that?
they're gonna bring to
Okay,
us
we need to,
after
we
the-
need to talk about it as an ordinance as a whole. Because it doesn't make sense. I don't want to come to every neighborhood and we're trying to make allowances for it, because then it
That's
just
really
feels
where
like we're
I
not
was headed with
consistent or
that.
equitable
That's what I was asking
to
more.
different
Yeah.
developers.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
important.
I like their plan of, you know, basically, we'll update at some future meeting, we'll update the whole ordinance to
To not
allow that.
include the interior rock
Right.
board.
So just to remind you, since you all discussed the fence post, I mean, we have it in our design criteria manual, which applies. However, on the PUD too, it might be good to add that language about the post, which we have in the fence ordinance, to address the concerns you raised.
So,
But that's already in their requirement. They already know these requirements. It's not anything new.
It's in our design criteria manual, but on the PUD, we can have that included, that the structural requirements for the post would apply for wooden fences.
Okay.
so, almost, I think we still just have to, what amendments, if any, to a positive motion do we want for the 10-foot setback?
Well, could it just be the rear yard setbacks excluding exterior lots, reduce the minimum from 15 to 10?
So approve the request as is, but
Well-
only on interior.
Yes, only on interior lots or excluding exterior lots.
Excluding lots on the perimeter of the PUD.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm ready to
Happy,
make a motion.
happy with that then? So,
And then what about the fence? What is the structure requirement that we want to add to that too then?
I'm just gonna say the structural requirements as, from the design requirements being that currently exists, so just reiterate
Yeah, because
what's already
they
there.
have that already, right?
Okay.
It's been provided. It's nothing new. You don't want to bait and switch on anybody.
I'll make it.
It's not fair.
Any other questions, anything else? Good, okay. So I'll make a motion then to approve the ordinance as is with the addition of requirements for the fencing to have the structural requirements from the design criteria manual added, and for the 10-foot setback to exclude lots on the perimeter of the PUD.
I second them.
Second, all those in favor?
Address the rot board, I'm sorry.
The Rob board, it was in there, so
Oh,
it'll
the
just carry.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So, all those in favor then?
Excuse me, you said something about the rock board that,
The Rob board was in the request to approve the ordinance as is, no changes to the Rob board, so the Rob board.
But the rot board is being required.
and that's the clarity I want before
Wanted
it's
to-
voted
Okay, I'm sorry.
and
The
motion.
You're
interior.
suggesting,
So what I suggested was about the post and the depth to which it goes, the structural requirement for
Right.
the post.
The
Now,
rod
the
board-
applicant has requested that the rot board requirement not to apply on the interior fence.
And
Is
it-
that something y'all are voting
To-
for?
Yeah,
Yes.
that the rot board would only be required on the exterior.
correct.
So we need to add that, make sure that language.
So, I thought that was already in the ordinance, so.
Poor
As-
Tammy.
as-
Tammy, it's a good thing you record us. You got us
Yeah,
recorded.
yeah, in the PUD amendment,
You
it
got us
is.
checked. She don't trust us.
It is, because for a second it felt like you're saying that the rot board would
That's what
be part of the structural requirement and it would apply. So
No,
just
I'm
wanted to
sorry.
clarify.
Yeah, just so as proposed, just the structural requirements from the design criteria manual be added in there as well.
And not requiring the interior rot board.
Correct. So, all those, he has a second here,
Yeah,
correct,
second.
still stands, okay, and all those in favor then? Motion carries unanimously 6-0. So that is our recommendation to city council. So just for everybody's here, that's here, that is our recommendation to council. Council can still do whatever they want, so should be on the agenda for the next meeting, which should be next Monday, correct? Does that sound right, Ms. Tammy?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we appreciate you guys coming out
Yes.
and expressing it, expressing your concerns and
It's
just
hard to-
keeping an eye on, our agendas and what's coming up. I know that on this one, you probably got a notice in the mail, and so that's why you're aware of it. But just also, just paying attention to what's coming so that we all have a voice in how our city develops. I love this town and love where I'm at, but that's, we want to have a voice in how things get developed. And so, not understanding 4 years ago that when these decisions were made, we're really limited sometimes, right?
And-
But we did protect you guys and kept them on the exterior, making sure that they're sticking with that. But, just keep an eye out because it does make a difference.
And we appreciate the input, because it's hard to make these decisions with,
Without the
In a
people that it
vacuum.
directly impacts,
So-
which are the back neighbors, right?
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next one, which should be easier.
Yeah.
So agenda item B is consideration of possible action to forward a recommendation of approval to city council for the proposed abandonment of right-of-way. We've already kind of heard about this, so does anybody have any questions?
Because this road is in the middle of where the shopping center is going to be, so it makes
Right.
no sense for that road to be
Right.
there.
And is this the road that was across the street for the oil field? Is that the
No.
same road?
No, it's on the
Where
opposite
is
side.
it?
No.
Okay, no, I know, but it's.
They don't
Is it
line
the
up.
same plan
Oh.
from 1818 or whatever?
Oh, it could be.
It's the same plat, but I don't believe they line up with each other.
No?
Same idea.
Because I know the other part was behind them, is that, but, okay,
Yeah, the other one's on the other side of Kirby Drive.
right. Well, it's on the south side.
Correct.
But yeah. I just wanted
Well,
to make sure that wasn't the
yeah.
same street coming across and then
West of
going
Kirby.
out.
No, it's west of, the one we saw for that is west of Kirby.
But this one makes a lot of sense just to over here, so that-
Right. Yeah. By a couple hundred feet. Any other questions?
Nope.
Nope. Motions to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. We'll do a second down there this time. All those in favor?
We're happy for an easy one.
Motion carries 6-0. Okay, development services update.
We had a development services update last meeting as well, which covered most of it from towards the end of 2025 up till the last meeting. This one is a relatively short one. We just had 3 pre-development meetings. One of them were for the property on Scott Avenue. It was a group that is a nonprofit, and they have like a equine assisted program with like for special need kids, and I'm not 100% sure about a lot of details of their program, but they would have horseback riding classes and sessions and therapy sessions and things of
Can I
that
ask
sort.
who it is?
Who as in?
Announce that?
Who as in?
That wants to do this, actually.
I don't have the name off the top of my head right now. I mean, we can provide you contact information after the meeting.
Okay.
But in terms of their proposal, they're looking at that land and trying to have maybe a barn and have these programs set up. Now, again, it was a due diligence meeting. We don't, like I always say about these projects, we don't know if it would become a project. But it seemed like a proposal where there wasn't a lot of development happening within the entire acreage, and they wanted to use most of the open area for what they were trying to do. The second meeting that we had was with a group that's looking at 327 acres on the south side of Highway 6 near Azelle, and that's where we also have a city-owned tract of land, and they're looking at developing a residential subdivision meeting our single-family residential standards. I also want to give you a heads up that they've done some engineering work in terms of the feasibility, and they're looking at maybe making a presentation to City Council as part of a workshop. So that is something that y'all may want to take a look at. And once that workshop happens, we can give you more details on it the following meeting. Then we also had an applicant who was looking at looking at doing like a mushroom cultivation facility. Again, even that was a due diligence meeting that we had. And that property is currently zoned open single-family residential, and it's property off of County Road 98. In terms of certificate of occupancies and certificate of completion approval, the Stillwater Plaza Retail, which is next to the gas station on Highway 6, that building was completed. Shops at Blue Water Retail Building has received their certificate of completion. And then we issued the certificate of occupancy for Memorial Hermann Medical Group within Manvel Town Center. And in terms of new ground-up construction, we had the Manvel ER, which has started construction. We've issued permits on that. And then West Wing, which we discussed last meeting, that started. That was it.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions for him?
Thank you. You know, we always want a lot more answers than you have.
So no actions required on that item. So up next is going to be our favorite agenda item. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth.
All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Again, everybody, thank you so much for coming out this evening, taking the time to listen and to give your input. Y'all have a great night, and thank